do you know how to tell when your horse is grown out enough that he actually needs some attention? Hi, Dennis here at Cappel Training and Shoeing. You know, I often talk about reading the horses, you know, and I do that all the time, you know, and I feel like it is probably kind of my signature. I talk about having that clear middle picture and always know exactly what I want a horse to do and how I want them to do it, and that kind of thing, and how I want to look interacting with them. But let me tell you another thing that I read, and that is a horse's foot. You know, there's a lot of area there that you know seems to be a little bit confusing to a lot of people, and you know it's interesting to me that as you go out around horse people and you hear conversations, and whenever farriers come up, you either hear people complaining about they can't get a horseshoer to show up, or he, you know, they don't really you know, care for his work all that much, or if they've got a really good one, he charges too much. So horseshoers are always thrown under the bus, and it's been like this forever. So and this is why that several years ago I started doing a weekend shoeing class for horse owners, and it's become very popular, and people find that they are able a lot of times to come to that weekend class and go home and are able to start on their journey to do their own work. And actually, you know, one weekend of education is not going to make you a seasoned horseshoer, but it is a starting place. And everybody's got to start somewhere. Nobody that I know of that is achieved very much success at a very high level that isn't continuously learning. I mean, it's an art form, and it requires a lot of study to really get good at it. But, you know, starting places are completely different. You don't have to know everything to get started. One thing that I talk about a lot when I'm reading a foot is distortion. You know, you might wonder, well, what is distortion? How do you recognize it? Where do you find it? Well, let's take this book, for example. By the way, this is my book called Horseshoeing Made Simple. This is a good starting place. If you don't have this book, I think you might find it enjoyable. You know, you can find it on Amazon. But anyway, I wanted to show you how distortion takes place. Just imagine that this part of the book is a horse's hoof wall, and like this, okay? And we have the hoof wall touching the ground, and we have the weight of the horse coming down inside. And you see this bend that's taking place? Well, up here, just a little ways down, this book is still straight. But down here, just a little ways from the top, now we've got this bend, and that's what distortion is. You see, this book has lost its ability to have any strength to be able to hold this inner part up. So if we can arrange a horse's foot to where he's standing straight and there's not any distortion, we have successfully set the stage so that the internal structures of the leg mainly the part that concerns horseshoers is these three bones. We have the long pastern, the short pastern, and the coffin bone. You might find it interesting that we have the coffin bone, the short pastern, and the long pastern right here in your finger. So that's what these three bones are right here, and when they're in alignment, and when the hoof wall is arranged so that it's coming down straight, you've set that horse up to where he's at his optimal support, his optimal performance, his optimal longevity. You know, all kind of things are affected by the lack of distortion. Now, that's not the only thing that I look at, but that's one thing that you might not have thought about. And most horses that have been running out and haven't had regular maintenance will have some distortion, so it can be pretty easy to see once you start searching for that. You know, another question that comes up quite often, I hear people talking about horseshoeing, is how often does a horse need to be done? And there's so many variables to that it's hard to put a time on. You know, most people say it's 6 to 8 weeks. Well, relative to what? You know, what is that horse eating? How much exercise is that horse getting? What time of year is it? There's all kind of variables that affect hoof growth. And do you know how to tell when your horse is grown out enough that he actually needs some attention? You know, it's interesting that if you do a horse too quickly, the old nail holes can be in the way, and actually the next shoeing on a too short of an interval can actually weaken the horse's foot. So I think of that hoof wall is kind of like a pine board, you know, and the less nails we put in it, the better off we are. And that's why a lot of people are so adamantly set on only having barefoot trimming. I'm not opposed to barefoot trimming, but there's an awful lot of benefit to having shoes put on them a lot of times as well. So, but how do you know when things need to be? One resource that I can talk to you about, this is a mapping system that Gene Overnick came up with to help us locate the center of the foot and how to find balance. You know, I'm not going to make an attempt to teach you how to do that now, but this mapping system is something that I do teach, and something that would be found in this book. And this is something that would be found in our online trimming courses, in our online shoeing course, and especially if you come take either the trimming class itself or the shoeing class. By the way, I have those are coming up in March, and if you've ever thought about wanting to learn more about a horse's foot, I think you'd really enjoy bringing your horse and coming out for the weekend, and we go into great detail about, you know, this mapping system, about how to recognize distortion, just practical things, what tools you need and how to use the tools. One thing that I do talk about quite a bit is how to get a horse prepared so that horse will let you work with their feet, you know, because I don't care how good a horse you are, if that horse is trying to take his foot away the whole time you're underneath there working on it, it would be like asking a surgeon to operate on a person flopping around on the operating table and expect him to do precision work. It just isn't going to happen. So the better that we can arrange a horse's mind to cooperate with us so that horse can relax and be comfortable and let us work on their feet, the better the whole process is. So all of these kind of things are what I teach in my online courses, in the book, and in the classes that you actually come to see. So I hope that you'll look those up, go to my website and look those classes up, look at the material that we have to offer for you, because I think you'll find a lot of value in it for yourself as a responsible horse owner. You know, when you educate yourself, you're going to just feel more comfortable. You're going to know that you know, and that's really going to give you a lot of confidence. You know, you won't be at the mercy of what everybody says. You know, you're going to have a good idea of exactly what needs to be done and who you need to get a hold of to get that done. You know, and that's a comforting feeling, to know who you need to call. And I think you'll really enjoy the class. So I look forward to you contacting us, and we'll be glad to have you come up and we'll help you get started on your horseshoeing journey. It is a start and it is a journey, you know, but it is a good starting place. You know, we start with information. So thank you very much for your time. By the way, if you like the content that we put out, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. You know, we're here for you. It's free. Well, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much.